Buenas noches.
We are dormant no more.
Buenas noches a otro episodio de Cine Podcast. Yo soy su host, Luis. Por favor, preséntense.
Orengo here, otra vez.
I have been awoken, Josué.
And Belle's over here.
Sí, y hoy vamos a discutir las películas Arrival y Prisoners. Son dos películas de uno de mis directores favoritos, Denis Villeneuve.
That's the connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, you didn't connect it?
No.
Pues vamos primero a discutir sobre Prisoners. So, Josué, ¿qué nos puedes decir sobre esta película?
Esta es la historia de dos familias. Ambos tienen dos hijas menores de 12 años que desaparecen. Y vamos siguiendo al papá de una de esas niñas, protagonizado por Hugh Jackman, mientras él busca las respuestas que él siente que el detective no está encontrando. Llega el punto que él secuestra y tortura al quien él sospecha que es responsable. Y ahí obviamente estamos con la pregunta de, en una situación como esta, ¿cuán lejos usted llegaría por proteger a su familia? Opinión principal. Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. It was saved. Mayormente lo que lo hizo fue la actuación. El elenco era increíble. Hugh Jackman se botó el papel. O sea, se lo comió.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Jake Gyllenhaal como el detective. Viola Davis is in this movie. Le dio un papel que doesn't have a lot to work with.
I honestly wish I could have seen more of Viola Davis's acting.
Oh yeah. I don't think a single role was wasted.
Yeah.
I did some IMDb. Resulta que el sospechoso principal is going to be the Riddler in the upcoming Batman movie.
Do you see now why he was plucked for the role?
Yes.
Well, yeah, for the version of the Riddler they're going for, then yeah.
Sí. Yo vi Matt Reeves y estoy seguro que él vio Prisoners on Repeat y dijo, yo quiero ese loquito ahí en mi película. Sé que yo quiero.
I want him as my Riddler.
Yeah, es que se nota las influencias bien, cabrón. Once you see Prisoners, como que todo eso that mirage se jope un poquito. Yeah.
It is a very good thriller. Encontré interesante que Okay, I can't explain much of this because that's going into spoilers, pero we'll talk about it when we get into spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
It involves la interpretación del sospechoso principal.
Yeah.
And what it has to say about neurodivergence and their portrayal and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody wants to give their opinion?
Well, I loved it también. It wasn't the first time I've seen it. Yo lo he visto ya como 2 o 3 veces. This was the film that sort of started cementing me en lo que es Denis Villeneuve como filmmaker. Yo he visto casi todas las de él. At least it's commercial work, porque técnicamente es un commercial film. Pero él sabe utilizar lo que es el ámbito de Hollywood para contar historias que valen la pena, because I feel like both movies do that extremely well within the boundaries of the genre they're placed in. Esto obviamente es un thriller, la otra es como un sci-fi melodramático y qué sé yo. It's really well acted. Los twists and turns are very interesting, pero también tiene temas que quiere tocar. Obviamente la película tiene mucha influencia de el 70s scare que hubo de los missing children, de los milk cartons, de los missing posters y toda esa pendeja que hubo en los 70 en Estados Unidos, que era bien prevalente. The film looks like it has a 70s aesthetic throughout the movie. Estoy seguro que cuando estaban en preproducción trabajando en la película, pensaron en Roger Deakins para hacer el DP, y con buena razón, porque el tipo tenía esa estética que era apropiada para lo que querían hacer. Entonces, yeah, I love the story. It's very well told. I guess it can run a bit long for some people. Yo siento que está apropiado, pero I know que some other people might disagree with that. Some people might think que se puede beneficiar de ser un poquito más corta, porque algunas cosas maybe become a little redundant. But I think within the boundaries of the story they're telling, la idea of the missing children, the issue with morality, la cuestión de la religión, and how you're being tested by your faith. Yo creo que son temas que también he explorado en la película.
Yeah, Isabel.
My turn?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I enjoyed the movie from beginning to end. Yes, I do have to disagree with Orengo. There were some moments in the movie that I thought it was extended for too long. Because I felt like, at the end, con el pitito, sentía que eso, como que ya para el segundo pitito ya sabemos, pero seguían pitando y pitando y pitando. Y aquí ya, okay, it's getting annoying to a point where, yeah, I get it. I get what you mean by that. And there's other moments throughout the movie that was just extended a little bit too much for me, in my opinion. Other than that, the score is incredible. Like, I enjoyed the score completely. La cinematografía quedó pristine. Se sentía very 70s, but it was like a 70s modern movie. Yet, se sentía de esa forma.
Okay.
The lore and the plot in itself was very frustrating. I don't have any kids, but it was extremely frustrating to me to see it. At first, like not knowing who it was, and then this person testing how far his morals go to whatever he wants to do to find his daughter was tested very well.
Yeah.
And you can see the level of intensity. Que llegó hasta un punto donde it was almost torture.
Almost.
It was
Torture.
It was torture. Come on.
It was torture.
I mean,
yes, it was torture. Pero había momento ese de él que tenía ese spark of, okay, please tell me, I'll stop, please tell me. So tenía un guilt behind his way of doing things.
yeah, Luis.
Sí, pues yo amé esta película del principio al fin, principalmente cómo esta película fue filmada. La cinematografía fue filmada por Roger Deakins, que él ha hecho muy buenas películas como Blade Runner 2049, 1917. Él como camarógrafo, el tipo siempre se tomó el show. Y tú ves cada escena, el uso de no solamente lo visual, pero el uso de las luces, de la sombra, para mí estuvo bien hecha. O sea, el trama se pone bien intenso de principio al fin, quién hizo qué, quién hizo otro, pero lo que me impresionó mucho aquí fue el elenco. A mí, la actuación de Hugh como el papá preocupado, que tortura al personaje de Paul Dano. A mí nunca porque yo vi esto en la pantalla grande y a mí nunca se me va a olvidar esa escena que él está ahí torturando a Paul Dano en la primera escena con el martillo y él prácticamente da el martillo para todos lados, rompe la mano y estaba,
I honestly thought he was going to end up actually hitting him.
Yeah.
Yo también, así de intenso estaba, Dios mío.
Y fue tan intenso que lo sentías en el corazón ya de por sí. Like, it was a very hard scene to watch.
Yeah.
Sí.
Yeah.
También la actuación del
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal, mano.
Como
el policía Loki, que él se encabrona cada tiempo, está intenso.
His mannerisms, there was like a point where he was having like a little twitch in his like smile. Que yo pensaba que él hacía eso ya de por sí as an actor, as a person, as himself, but it's not. It's like he gave that character more structure to a point it just felt real.
Yeah.
It was incredible. His acting in this movie has surpassed most of the ones that I've seen so far. Y cuidado, porque él ha hecho un montón de películas.
No, sí. Yo diría que mi segunda favorita de esta de Nightcrawler.
What about Enemy, though?
Entonces, hay un montón. Pero sí me impresionó mucho y ¿verdad? De nuevo, con los Oscar, increíble que no nominaron las actuaciones de Hugh Jackman y Jake Gyllenhaal para mejor actor y mejor actor de reparto, porque ellos dos se robaron el show ahí al principio al fin, que tú te quedas wow.
Nobody surpassed them.
Yeah, nobody has surpassed that. Y me encantó mucho el final, porque para mí el final como que simboliza de que, mira, ya no son prisioneros, porque todo el mundo quiere a prisioneros, de que prisioneros por el miedo de dónde están las nenas, prisioneros de que tienen que correr este tipo a tiempo, si no, no lo podrán hacer. Es una película.
Don't mind. Como yo siempre dice, el trilumbre de no saber. No sabe
Sí,
qué está pasando con la hija, no sabe quién es la persona que está causando tanto y tanto problema.
Prisoner to,
De por
el
sí.
misterio.
prisoner to their fears, prisoner to their morals.
This
title has layers, man.
Yeah.
It does. They even show the littlest detail. Como vamos a mencionar how serial killers kind of visit their own places of their abductees or the people that they've murdered. They visit those places to reminisce. So this guy, I forgot his name right now. This guy revisited the places of the abductees.
Oh,
No.
I remember his name because it made me raise an eyebrow. His name is Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait, what? Alex Jones? What? Oh, that's the name of the character. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not the gay frogs guy. Okay.
No.
And you kind of question these, at least the first two that they accused. Why are they doing what they're doing? Y te enteras ya lo último que ellos también fueron abducted and tortured and this and that by this person.
So.
Y tú no te esperas a la persona tampoco.
Oh, yeah, para nada.
Yeah,
El issue de PTSD being heavy en la película.
Sí.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about going into a bit more spoilers here. The whole movie, Hugh Jackman is convinced that he's the guy who did it. He's the guy who did it. And I thought what it was leading to is like, no, he didn't. You just convinced yourself that's the solution because that's how you maintain control of the situation. A big part of his problem es ese control, porque he's one of these nut jobs who has his basement stocked full for doomsday. He's always talking about keeping his family safe, keeping his family protected and prepared. So
like I just show you as like a very common father with a suburban family and all that stuff, like very level-headed, and throughout the movie they show you how bad it got, like how bad he is mentally.
Entonces, so I'm kind of mixed in that, well, he was kind of right. It's not that he actually kidnapped them, but he knew. So it's like,
yeah, but that right can get you not so far because see, vamos a decir que lo encontraron. He was going to end up in jail because he basically tortured an innocent person.
Yeah, that was fucked up, man.
Just saying.
Bro, la parte cuando le sacan el saco y te le ve la cara toda hinchada, I was like, oh, that was hard to watch.
Pero también cuando ella empezó a like take off the handcuffs, and like, don't do it.
Like she was showing him the pictures, like, this is my baby, and it's like, honey, I don't think he can see.
No, like he could see, porque el ángulo que lo pusieron no se podía ver los dos ojos, pero él te podía ver el de uno.
Yeah, well, they were so swollen though, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, he was eaten up.
And being interesante because obviously you gotta have that that dissenting voice en los otros padres, en el que el amigo de él is like, I want my daughter back as much as you, but this is not right.
Crossing a line, exacto.
It's crossing a line. While then Viola Davis meets her husband halfway and she says, we're not going to condone or help him, but we're not going to stop him.
Exacto.
No se quería meter en la situación. No quería meterse en la situación, so deja lo que él quiera hacer. No,
se lavaron las manos como un Pilato.
Pero a la misma vez, like, es que I kind of get it, man. I don't. I don't know what I would do in their situation. Es la verdad.
It's a litmus test because it gives you all perspectives and you get to choose cuál perspectiva tú crees que era la apropiada. You either
Like,
go with Howard's perspective con la esposa, or you just go with Hugh Jackman, which is the more extremist approach. So you kind of decide, if I was put in this situation, where would I land en esta cuestión?
Exactly.
I have had the good fortune to have never been in a similar situation. And
Oh,
I
of course.
hope to never
Of
be.
course. Of course.
Good. Yeah.
What do you guys think about el approach de la película tener este feeling of... You guys remember like the first Halloween film, la de John Carpenter? ¿Cómo
Yeah.
tenía esta estética visual of you being watched throughout the whole movie? Did you feel that way que estaba pasando en la
Yeah.
película, especialmente
Definitely.
por lo menos el primer acto, que siempre estaba el RV y siempre eran tomas de lejos, como que looking outward, inward, como que as if you're peering into
Yeah.
these horrible people doing horrible things?
Definitely it felt that way, but at the same time, when I first went into watching this movie,
Yeah.
I thought it was like just a red herring until, you know, everything started developing and everything started connecting. So right when everything started connecting is when I felt, okay, you have the feeling being watched. You have the feeling of who is it?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it?
Yeah.
So to a certain point, not the first, let's say, 10 minutes of the movie felt that way, but the rest, definitely.
Yeah.
So, can we talk about the twist real quick?
Okay, go.
Spoiler alert.
Sí.
Yeah, of course, that goes without saying. So the twist is the guy, Alex Jones, not the gay frog guy,
Yeah.
was not exactly the guy responsible, but he knew because his aunt/adoptive mother was the one behind it.
Mhm.
Let me see if I follow this right. Her son died, so she and her husband were just kidnapping kids so they could have kids of their own and keeping them like drugged with some sort of juice or something that they concocted.
Yo la interpreté más como que era venganza because of the pain they felt. They wanted to inflict that pain onto other parents.
Hmm.
That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, for
Realmente.
me it was a little bit confusing because she said something about retribution, something about like
The act of God, creo que era, or wrath of God.
I am at war with God. Ella dice.
Exacto, sí. Because
Yeah.
there's this tinge of religious element, the small community, everyone's
Mhm.
kind of religious, pero todo el mundo tiene su twisted interpretation of religion. Y yo creo que esto es lo que permea. Donde,
So,
porque tú ves a
I
este
guess she
hombre.
went on an extremist point
Exacto.
on the wrath of God.
Yeah.
And
Prepare for the worst.
took it upon herself to do this. Why? Because she wanted to fill that void of her missing, not missing, a dead.
Or the child. Yeah.
Maybe it was a
Sí.
little bit confusing, and you can dissect it as much as you want, but it's just, I guess, it's left for interpretation of the person.
I don't know. It's one of that was the main thing I found out this week. It was like, oh, the old lady did it. I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, it was a big twist because we
Yeah.
didn't expect the aunt to be.
Yeah, but
It's-
I hate to enter a discussion when it comes to twists. Like, I mean, yeah, you didn't expect it, but does that alone automatically make it good?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
I guess.
when you understand the justification, when you look back into the movie, también hay momentos que give you a hint que es ella. So no, es como pues the good M. Night Shyamalan twist, que era el The Sixth Sense, que once you see the movie again with that knowledge, it kind of fits into place. It doesn't seem so out there. It does seem a little bit out there because it's not the conventional trope de que es Alex Jones. He would have obviously been el pedophile in any other movie. Pero when you want to craft something, y cuando tú quieres decir algo más about the human condition, you're not going to make the obvious pedophile play. You're going to go for something a little bit more profound than that.
I thought what they were going for was that Alex Jones was innocent, and that this is going with. I thought they were.
Sí.
Porque Hollywood has a long, sad history of making the neurodivergent person the bad guy, the killer.
Exacto. Yep.
Y yo pensé that they were kind of going against that trope when the other guy, the other suspect who looked him up, he's also in DC. He's fucking Polka Dot Man in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
When he became the main suspect, and I thought the whole point of the movie, ves pendejo, tú te desesperaste tanto que you tortured an innocent man for nothing.
Yeah, he's gonna need to live with that guilt.
I thought they were going for that, but then it turns out Polka Dot Man was a red herring, and it was the aunt. So Hugh Jackman was kind of right.
Kind of.
Kind
Yeah,
of.
a lo último he figured it out. A lo último he figured it out.
Yeah. So
Pero of course, this woman had the few steps forward. Like ella estaba pensando en todo. Ella estaba
En
pensando
absolutamente todo.
methodical with the way that she was doing everything.
Sí.
Like, yo no sé qué fue lo que le metió a la nena, pero yo estoy segura que la iba a matar. Le echó enough for her to survive, because thank God that Jake Gyllenhaal just barged in. It's like, what the hell you're doing?
Yeah.
Pero she was very methodical with everything she did, because el odio que ella tenía, that was well put under a car and everything.
Me fucking mató cuando ella dijo, y'all better cremate me because I don't want to be buried.
Sí.
I'd hate to have my body underground. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a taste of her own medicine, because she seems like she put all the dead bodies down there.
Yeah.
Just
and
saying.
then the twist is they bury her and the zombies come after her.
Yep.
That's the shock.
Los zombies de todos los niños que ella. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt ending.
What do you guys think about the film's method de hacerlo bien matter of fact? Me explico. La película is very unassuming and it's not very bombastic con la forma que cuenta su historia. They just go out to like a, neighborhood Thanksgiving dinner y de pronto, hey, where the fuck is my daughter?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Ajá, loco, que es la que hay. Y después como que lentamente se desenlaza. You're like, whoa, what the fuck? It feels very believable. Porque no es tan bombástico. It just matter of fact, your daughter went missing. Matter of fact, la policía empieza kind of like uncover what's going on. Entonces ahí no se eleva un poco la cosa. Pero the way it starts off, it just seems so like, okay, it's just very cotidiano the way that it's approaching it.
Yeah, I think that's to the film's strength.
Yeah.
And I do like that they went in an unconventional way, because I feel like most of these movies that we see that has to do with self-defense, they have to do it in a park or in a circus situation.
Sí.
So I did like the unconventional, it's a Thanksgiving dinner, están con amigos, están en familia, y de repente todo está como dijiste.
Do you think that because of that, porque la película, cuando tú ves el repertorio de Villeneuve, it doesn't stand out. And when you see the movie, it's a very well told movie. And this is not to the film's critique of it, pero it is technically a forgettable movie. It's not a type of movie que tú dices, yo la tomo de un top 5 de mis películas ever. It's just a very well told movie que, por ejemplo, tus padres verían y te la recomendarían porque la verían en los 80. You know what I mean? Like, it's that like very solid type of film that you just go see in a theater. You're like, damn, that was a good fucking story. And then like a year later, you just forgot about that freaking movie. Porque no hay nada que it essentially excels y te hace recordarlo tanto.
It doesn't have like one of those big cinematic moments.
Like, no impacta como nos impactó Shawshank Redemption.
Eso es lo que quiero llegar, exacto.
Like, because Shawshank también is very grounded, very realistic, but it has these moments, it has these scenes. The image of Andy Dufresne crawling out of the septic tank and like letting the rain wash over him. That's myth making right there in cinema.
Yeah.
Esas son las escenas que tú ves, like comedies and TV shows reference it. And both poking fun at it, but also a sense of reverence. Like The Simpsons in their prime, whenever they would reference classic cinema.
Exacto.
Yeah.
I don't see this esta película en particular being that same.
Es que Timer has already told it, como que no ha sido kind to this movie. En cuestión de que, again, it's not a bad movie at all. It's a phenomenal film. I recommend you see it. You haven't seen it. Es que just one of those movies that you see, you're like, wow, it's a really solid movie. Sigue para con tu vida. Yeah.
It's just a one and done. Like I always say, a one and done.
Which
is
one and done.
It's a good movie, especially if you're looking into the director's career. Porque hay gente que hay gente que se entera sobre un director. I want to see more of his stuff. You can't go wrong with this movie. It's a pretty good movie. But for what it is, it's like, it's no Arrival.
Definitely.
That is very, very true.
That's very true.
lo último que iba a decir al respecto, está interesante that little moment with the priest, porque pues cuando Jake Gyllenhaal early on is looking into, es como con pedophiles list, creo que era, algo así.
It's like a sex offender list or something like that.
Exacto, registry, I think it was. Entonces se topa en la casa del father, entonces ve que está el cuerpo muerto and all that shit. And it was interesting, porque again, it went against the trope de que, oh, the priest did it. Lo cual, yes, we know that is a thing that happens, of course, pero que en este caso, it decided to go along the lines de que the priest was the morally righteous one. Bueno, in his own twisted way, because he murdered the guy. Because the guy was like, oh, es que he freaking confessed to me. He told me he was going to keep on killing kids, and I couldn't, so I just murdered him. Y como que, wow, that's interesting.
Matter of justice in his own hands, and that happens a lot with Christianity. They feel like they have to take justice in their own hands.
Exacto, eso es lo que yo quería llegar.
The use of God.
Exacto, eso es lo que yo quería llegar. That's this whole thing, porque todo es eso. It's always a test of faith with all these characters, especialmente como en Hugh Jackman. Even the way the movie starts, it starts with him praying, and they shoot an innocent deer.
Yeah.
With the fucking snow.
Yeah, like haciendo un prayer, like, and I get it. It's como que a la misma vez dándole gracias a Dios, like, it's like, forgive me because I'm about to take a life, pero para la comida, so it won't go to waste. Thank you for this. It's a very, lots of religions do this. Buddhism también lo hace mucho.
I guess it's just not to feel guilty.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You feel guilty when you see an animal die and you're gonna eat it. Trust me. I saw my uncles kill el lechon de Navidad when I was a kid.
I was like, there you go. Like torturing, because you remember that scene with the Alex was his name, or the kid that was being accused at first, and he pulled up the dog by the collar. No.
Yeah. And that can be many things. And obviously, that's a bit of a red herring moment, because that makes you think, if he's willing to hurt a dog.
Estaban visitando un montón de tropes de serial killers. ¿Qué pasa con los serial killers? Like the torturing of animals, the visiting the places of the victims, y todas esas cosas. Those red herrings were so well placed.
Sí. Las cosas que él dice cuando tienes al segundo tipo que él tenía la jopa and all that shit, es como que when in turn this is all just PTSD de alguien que sí los afectó y lo impactó en su vida. So you're kind of flipping that whole notion on its head.
Yeah, and the snakes everywhere. I honestly thought I was going to see a dead body. No. Honestly thought. No. But there were snakes everywhere, and you're like, what in the world is going? What symbolism is this? But it's just because he was.
He's in the pit of snakes. He's in hell.
Exacto.
It's beautiful. I would say.
Es interesante porque es bien metódico en la forma que cuenta su historia. And I know que a lot of people have said this already, pero they don't make them like they used to. Y esto es un ejemplo de a type of movie that they don't make en cuestión de Hollywood scale, because this was a Hollywood release, tú en el cine. They don't make these type of films anymore. Like, they try de vez en cuando tirar un pequeño thriller, una película detectivesca con un Al Pacino, un De Niro. But I've seen cuando esos intentos fallidos y no funcionan. Por ejemplo, the other day, creo que fue HBO, tiró la película de Hugh Jackman. The Renaissance era, Renaissance, I don't know, it was like a weird sci-fi noir. And I saw a little bit of it. And it's like, I see the attempt, pero se cae la mata because it's not as well told and well crafted as this type of movie is. This type of movie, you don't see them anymore, porque ya, pues, obviamente uno se va por lo más bombástico, se van por películas que cuestan 200 millones, and they tell you other things. But this kind of like slow burn, type of methodical filmmaking, con toda una historia bastante grounded, and it takes its time telling su historia. Yeah, it's very fascinating como lo hizo. Ahora, Bells, dime por qué tú piensas que esta película tiene que jaspar 30 minutos de runtime. Why? Why are you like this?
Because I just have a thing for you like smoking. Okay, I just have a thing that I don't like everything to be extended. If you already made your point, just don't keep going.
Okay, but there's a thing called tone and ambiance.
Yes, but for me, this wasn't even tone and ambiance in itself. It's just beating the horse. Like, it's too much.
Okay, fair enough.
It's no, it's no the good, the bad, or the ugly, or anything like that.
It's like having a dramatic pause for way too long.
So tú crees que no ameritaba because it didn't have that scope como un good and bad and the ugly? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay. Está bien. Te
Pero
encanta mearte en la cara del filmmaker, ¿verdad, chachi? Está cabrón.
I mean, I will concur. Like by
Yes.
the time we were reaching the end. Era como que, okay. Please
get it.
unravel this.
Okay, that's fair. Bueno, I'm of the mind que si se está haciendo con un propósito y está consono con el tono que está haciendo la película, I'll accept it for what it is. Y yo entiendo que obviamente tú no quieres rochar algún tipo de aspecto solamente because you want to trim down. Obviamente la película de 2 horas y media, y sure, any experienced editor puede ver y decir, mira, you know, I get what you're doing with tone and I know what you're doing to crear un ambiente y qué sé yo qué, pero
could have trimmed like just 5 minutes.
Sure. You can find 5 minutes here easily.
Yeah.
Sure. I agree.
No,
tú quieres cortarle 30 minutos, Bells. No me encanta. Quieres cortarle un tercio de la película. Quieres cortar like the whole segment with the second guy. You're like, screw that. Just jump into the end.
It just took too long.
I knew it. I was saying that jokingly, and I knew it.
It just took too long.
I already got it with the first guy. Why do I need a second red herring? I'm fine.
That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy if.
I'm also very impatient when it comes to that type of stuff. Like
Okay.
I was getting impatient, so it did what it was meant to do.
Sure. La ansiedad. I get it.
Ansiedad, exactly.
In an alternate universe, Hugh Jackman would have captured that guy and thrown him with the other guy. And it's like, both of you know.
We're around.
Mátense ahí. Whoever wins gets to tell me where my daughters are.
like he gets just so fed up and desperate on what to do. He's gonna bring up an old school Christian tradition, like trial by combat. God will favor the one who will speak the truth.
Oh my god.
Or just like kneel on nails or something like that. Start praying. Whoever misses a prayer, así mismo lo cocoto o algo. Something crazy. It turns into Saw for like a second or something.
This is like this
Christian serial killer. Haven't seen that yet. Let's just keep it in a little.
It's called The Crusades, ma'am.
I vaguely remember seeing a trailer where Kane from the WWE played a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a slasher movie. And like the whole gimmick is that he judged the victims to be sinners or something.
Se llama See No Evil, creo que era.
I
think it's something like that. Yeah, yo vi el trailer and I was like, this is trash. So I never saw it.
Yeah,
pero...
okay. Like, you know, when you would stay up late watching Comedy Central or Adult Swim, they would play that trailer.
Yeah.
And then after watching that, you'd watch a horrifying commercial of an old lady crying for help because she's fallen and can't get up.
Oh yeah, it's a classic one.
I can't get up.
The classic commercials, yeah.
No, not that funny.
No,
I've fallen and I can't get up. The commercial was cut to like what looks like an empty house, and all you hear is an old lady crying, begging for somebody to come help her.
Qué horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my
Entonces,
God,
yo me pongo a pensar, cabrón, they're playing this in the late at night cuando la audiencia principal de Adult Swim son gente arrebatada.
Yeah.
Yo creo que la idea es como que, mano, mi abuelita, déjame ordenarle el life alert, mano.
It's a good approach, yeah.
Definitely.
We're getting a little derailed here.
Wait, I'll ask the one thing about Adult Swim. ¿Tú alguna vez viste el de Too Many Cooks?
Yeah, fucking Too Many Cooks.
Too Many Cooks was next level.
Eso era un fucking viaje, Dios mío.
No.
And then like viendo fucking Wisecrack y otro channel en YouTube tratando de analizarlo como es una crítica a la televisión y todo eso, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not high enough for this.
Oh no. Yo no quiero ver esa arrebatado because I feel like it's gonna be a bad trip. Esa pendejada gets too wild.
Yo no creo que necesito fumar para tener un bad trip.
No,
sorry.
But
so
yeah.
I think we've derailed enough. Should we proceed to the next movie? Any final thoughts? Algo que quieran añadir sobre esta película.
Pues it's a really good intro to Denis Villeneuve's commercial work. Porque
Yeah,
fue la primera.
With this movie.
Yeah.
If you want to start watching this director, start with this one.
Sí. Obviamente él tiene otra, que es la que nadie ha visto, que es la primera de él, incluyendo a mí, yo no la he visto tampoco. Pero, like, when you start seeing his commercial work, esta creo que fue la primera, so, en verdad, get to see this, because it's interesting su trayectoria, because he did this one, hizo Enemy, que es la más como que abstracta experimental de él, then he does Arrival, and then he gets to really commercial stuff, like Blade Runner 2049 y después Dune. So it's very interesting. Obviamente él está in the limelight, obviamente, porque he's looked upon like the next Nolan, like the next Spielberg in that regard. Because el tipo pues excels on a very technical level. Él sabe contar su historia bien contada. Tiene el cast más masivo del mundo en todas sus películas.
Oh, can't wait to see how that fucks up, because every time que veo que un director dice, could this be the next Spielberg? Their career just goes.
That's true. Yeah, pero por lo menos él
como
se ha
le pasó a M.
sostenido.
Night Shyamalan.
Sí, pero M. Night Shyamalan ese no duró ni 2 películas con ese gimmick. Esa fue la cosa. Por lo menos Denis, he's very adaptable. Sicario es la otra. Caramba, se olvidó Sicario. Sicario es so good también. Like, he's been able to mold himself in different genres y explorar very character-driven stories y sabe tocar los temas bien hechos. Like, el tipo sabe construir buena historia in a time where that's lacking in commercial films, in commercial cinema. Eso es bien apreciado. I understand que todo el mundo se va con el viaje de the next whatever because it's a marketing ploy, pero realmente he's very different from Nolan. He's very different from Spielberg en la forma que cuenta su historia. Exacto, of course. Pero pues, siempre es el viaje de muchos film students tirarse el viaje de que, yes, it's the next one, whatever. Ya escucharé a niños de 18 años inspirándose por
Denis Villeneuve. Here, a film student says it's in its own game.
Yeah.
Is when it's gonna fly and the world's gonna collapse.
Of course, yeah, definitely. But yeah, very solid movie. Louis, what do you think of the movie?
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, and so it's a great suspenseful thriller. No una película que me da ganas de verla una y otra de nuevo porque el tema es bien oscuro y ¿verdad? Te preocupa cuando uno se convierte en padre, está sobreprotegido.
There's a lot of triggering scenes in this movie as well. I did mention that.
Yeah, which
people who don't like self-inflicted death, if you want to put it that way. I don't want to say the actual word, but
of course. Yeah.
There are some triggers. Warning.
Yeah, that's it's unfortunate. It is kind of to be expected given the subject matter, but yeah, it is a fair warning. It's no Silence of the Lambs, but it is still pretty dark.
Yeah.
So keep a level head, level mind.
I actually kind of put off watching this movie por eso mismo. Okay. Oh man, it's gonna be about kidnapped kids and the dad's going crazy. I'm gonna watch Arrival first and then kind of work my way up to this.
No, yeah, I went for it. I saw Prisoner first.
Nice.
I went for it, and maybe I should have seen Arrival first.
Oh. Spicy.
Oh, let's get right to it. Next, let's just start talking about Arrival.
Sí, vamos a hablar sobre la película Arrival, que es sobre esta traductora interpretada por la gran Amy Adams, una de mis actrices favoritas, y básicamente, ¿verdad? Ella es contratada por el gobierno de Estados Unidos a investigar, ¿verdad? Los alienígenas, descubrir su idioma y, ¿verdad? Para saber qué demonios los alienígenas están haciendo aquí en el planeta Tierra.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm pretty late to this party in this comment. Esta es la primera vez que la vi. I'm pretty late to this comment, but this is a very refreshing take on an alien invasion movie. In that it's not an alien invasion movie per se.
Yes.
Not necessarily.
Y no se enfocan en la guerra contra una fuerza invasora, sino el tema principal es comunicación.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is very interesting.
The normal trope of an alien movie, sci-fi alien movie that
it actually reminded me a lot, and I mean this in the best possible way. The classic, the day the Earth stood still.
Yes.
That is a classic sci-fi. Similar premise. Alien, a flying saucer lands in Washington D.C. An alien taking a human form steps out, and he comes in peace rather than wanting to declare war. Él quiere dar un mensaje antinuclear because that was the big thing at the time.
Yeah.
Quería dar un mensaje antinuclear, but much like in this movie, hay miembros de la milicia y del planeta that just want to shoot first and ask questions never. And hay que tratar de tranquilizar esto. And yeah, it was really good. Este, Luis me había dicho que Amy Adams was snubbed in the Oscars for this role, and though I
Sí.
think she did a great job, I kind of get why she wasn't, because el papel de ella es tan
Mhm.
subdued y tan como que held back porque ella está sufriendo una depresión
Mhm.
que I
It's not
kind of
bombastic, you mean?
what?
It's not bombastic. It's not
Por
like
eso, yeah, it's
it's
not
very
what
Oscar-y.
it's not what the Oscars would be looking for. So I kind of
Sí.
get what they mean. Aparte de just general bias against genre film. So.
También, for sure.
Pero she did great. A mí me encanta de la manera que ella se defendía cada vez que alguien le cuestionaba.
Mhm.
Cada vez que alguien le cuestionaba como que, ¿por qué no simplemente le hace la pregunta que quieres que hagamos? Primero hay que ver si ellos tienen un concepto de la pregunta como nosotros los conocemos.
Yeah.
Like,
Just come up with facts, with intelligence, with
yeah, like I'm way oversimplifying the awesome explanation she gives, but she basically breaks down how their language could be different from ours. Their methods of communications could be different from ours. How they might not have concepts that we take for granted.
Yeah.
Entre otras cosas, and it's like, damn, girl.
And I'm pretty sure these were studies that I've done before, back in way back then, how they started communicating with other people.
Sí.
Because at one point we didn't, like, personas como nosotros, español, no podíamos comunicar con los americanos tampoco. So there was like a language barrier there, and they had to find out how to do it.
Mhm.
So that's probably
Claro.
just studies upon studies that this person has done in her career in order to explain that. It's not on top of her head.
Definitely, the writer had to do a lot of linguistics research.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Está bien on point de cuestión del aspecto lingüístico de esta película.
Uh-huh.
Que no es algo que se explora mucho tampoco. But here's very fitting para el tema primordial que fue el que dijiste, que it's about communication.
Porque it's not just communication with the aliens, it's communication amongst themselves. Porque
Exactamente.
there are various naves en diferentes partes del mundo y cada país tiene su propio equipo tratando de estudiarlo.
Exacto.
Y está tira y jala de no queremos darle a ellos la información nuestra.
Because they're still our enemies.
They're still technically our enemies. We don't know what they're going to do with that.
Yeah.
En cómo the solution is something is comunicación de no, but it's a very personal communication.
Yes.
It's not something grander. We can talk about it a little later, but yeah, basically, she reaches out to one of the world leaders and gives him a very intimate saying, something bien personal en vez de algo bien grande. And that's ultimately what stops it. There's no big war at the end. There's
no blue laser in the sky.
Yeah. Oh my god, the blue lasers.
Laser.
Ese trope was kind of ended recently, but it was replaced with another, and now I can't remember.
I don't know. But yeah, you're right. Para esos momentos, para cuando salió Arrival, it was the big blue laser in the sky, usualmente. Yeah. It's a great film. Yo la tengo como de mis favoritas sci-fi films ever made. Full stop. Like, fight me forever. It's really well told. Es como dice Josué, it's not really about an invasion. It's about communication. It's about love. It's about what parents would do for their family and what a person would do if they had the knowledge of their whole lifespan right in front of them and the decisions they would make.
So this is one of those things that I kind of saw coming as soon as they explained this. But instead of being like, I saw it coming, it was like, I am so satisfied that I got that right.
Yeah.
El lenguaje de los aliens es visual. Sí. They make these little spirals. Y ellos dicen que it's like it's like you're writing la oraciones from both ends at the same time. So ellos perciben el tiempo de manera diferente. And I was like, because the movie starts with her daughter dying from cancer.
Exacto.
And you think, and you think that's why she's depressed all the whole movie. But then you stop and think, hang on. Ahí cuando yo me puse a pensar como que, hang on. Oh no. And then it's like, yeah, no,
But
es
it's
que,
like, oh, and you're like, oh,
the twist is, it's not that her daughter died, it's that she's going to
Going to
die. That's
die.
the future. Y
Yeah.
como ella ya percibe el lenguaje de estos alienígenas a un nivel experto,
Mhm.
she can see into the past and the future.
Yeah.
Tal punto que ella se manda mensajes del
Ujú.
futuro hacia su de pasado. Mira, tienes que hacer esto para que podamos ganar el día. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
and that
Yeah.
is a weapon in of itself.
Exacto.
You know,
Or a
like,
tool, because that was the debate for
that,
half
yeah,
the
they
movie
were
too.
trying to debate if it was a weapon or a tool. Like,
Are they the same
military
thing?
did
Are they
everything.
different? What do you do?
La escena de la noticia and the people rioting and going crazy, that hits different now.
Oh
It
yeah,
does
of course it does.
different.
Yes.
At the same time, it kind of makes sense because
It does, it definitely does, but es como que, like, viendo eso, como que, oh shit. And like, remember when we used to see this in the movies and go like, ha, that would never happen.
no, but
Yeah.
this one, it's just like you said, it hits different. It
Mhm.
just feels different.
No, por eso, because we've seen firsthand that people will riot for stupider reasons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Just,
Yeah.
On that note,
Mhm.
take the fucking vaccine and put on your masks.
Oh, yeah,
It's
también,
not
por
a
favor.
big deal.
Yeah, por favor.
It's
please
not
do.
a big
It's
deal.
very, very important.
Not aliens.
Help. Be part of the solution, not the problem.
Exactly.
But yeah, obviamente las performances están fenomenales. The creature design is very interesting. It's very abstract. The
I
idea
I
that
actually thought it was like a hand.
like a little like la cosa, tío cosa.
That you
Yeah. I thought it was cute. They called them Avid and Costello.
Yeah, no, it was cute. Yeah.
I had to look it up. Yes, I am
Yes,
very young. I
because-
had to look it up, but
She's a
it
child.
was adorable.
Bro, Abbott and Costello is from like the 30s or 40s. It's fine. But they still hold up actually.
Yeah, they do.
Who's on first is
Who's on first is classic comedy.
clásico.
Oh yeah. Well,
Eso
Yeah,
sí, quería mencionar que los plots, los ink plots me recordaban los Rorschach tests.
sí.
Mucho. The ink plot tests.
Which is another like form of
Like,
communication.
like it does make sense because it's to each interpretation what you see in that image. So to each
Yeah.
interpretation what you read in what the alien wanted to tell you.
Yeah, and thus the confusion entre weapon and tool.
Exacto.
Okay, and again, because of the lack of communication, as soon as the army saw the word weapon, they're like, "Oh my God, they're gonna kill us. We gotta assume this." And
As
ella tratando de
great
explicar.
works, they kind of just jump to conclusions
Yeah.
instead of okay, let's dissect this a little bit more. They haven't
Yeah.
done shit for like a week.
Yeah, ella tratando de explicar. For all we know, that might not even be actually the word. We could have mistranslated
Mhm.
because we are just now learning this language.
Si llevan una
Exacto.
semana sin hacer nada, yo no creo que en un mes van a hacer algo.
Exacto.
Yeah.
Bien complicado. I want to talk about the intro and the outro of the movie porque como toda la película es cyclical, it's very fitting that it's a very bookend type of film. Como pasa con Gone
Yeah.
Girl, que empieza con la primera toma al final y la última toma con el mismo contexto.
Yeah.
Digo, con contexto diferente, ya que tú sabes todo lo que pasa en Gone Girl. The
Sí.
same thing applies to Arrival. I wanted to talk about the song because I love the song because the song is the only thing not composed by Johan Johansson, which by the way, amazing composer que se murió en 2018 and it's very freaking sad because he's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, the soundtrack was great.
La canción que usaron al principio, I knew que yo había escuchado esa canción antes, and I was right. And I don't know if you also felt the same way, because when I was in the theater, I was like, I've heard this song before. So, looking up, la canción se llama On the Nature of Daylight. It is written by Max Richter. La cosa es que esta canción, cuando Denis Villeneuve estaba trabajando la película, él quería algo un poquito diferente de lo que Johan Johansson estaba dándole, porque obviamente ese tribal type of music no iba a ser muy fitting para the type of very melodramatic beginning and outro que tiene la película. So he searched for these songs particularly y la inyectó en la película. Que creo que, by the way, he probably mentioned, I'm pretty sure he mentioned the fact that he didn't have the rights hasta bien tarde into the game, so he just put it in there with the hopes. Que eso pasa mucho en las películas.
Yeah.
Funny enough, esta canción, you've heard it before. Esta canción sale en Stranger Than Fiction, en Will Ferrell's breakdown scene. Y también you've also heard this song in Shutter Island, creo que es at the end of the movie or like in a very climactic sequence de Shutter Island.
That connected.
Yes. So it's a song you've heard before in your subconscious. Si has visto par de películas before, pero it hits very appropriately en la película. Obviamente, I am a fan of. I wouldn't say it's a needle drop because it's not a needle drop, but it kind of is a little bit. It's a very somber needle drop. Obviamente no es un James Gunn very in your face needle drop, pero it's very appropriate con lo que está pasando. And I think que el elemento del montaje y ese tipo de unraveling mystery que pasa en la película recontextualiza mucho lo que pasa al principio, porque es como José mencionó, it's like, oh, it's very fascinating because you're like thinking, pues ella está obviamente depressed because her daughter died, and then as it unravels, context changes. Pero entonces es ese estudio de entonces, what are you willing to do as a person? Claramente, Amy Adams was willing to go through heartbreak to have those little nuggets of happiness, versus claramente habían otras personas. Ahí Hawkman, he wasn't willing. He wasn't willing to go through that heartbreak because he just didn't understand it. Claramente ella estaba ya a otro nivel, a otro plano existencial básicamente, where she could basically Dr. Manhattan if you want to dumb it down. She
could perceive time. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
she could perceive time all at the same time. Y obviamente son conceptos que obviamente va a ser un poquito too much for someone que no haya pasado por esa experiencia to comprehend. So
it's understandable. That he would be passing through that because he was experiencing and reading the same things that she was. But
Exacto. It just didn't click, and it's fine. Pero if you understand, like, if someone te tira esa bomba, I would be empathetic también a Jeremy Renner and his como él tomó la situación. Like, he'd be like, pero then why did you decide to marry me? Why did you decide to have a child with me? Knowing full well que vamos a tener este heartbreak down the line. Like, this seems ridiculous. You could have avoided this. Obviamente, lo más seguro fue un moral dilemma que tuvieron. Pero she was like, I know, but I still want to go through that. And it's the classical thing of like, even if you know the ending, eso pasa con película, sometimes a veces lo más importante is the journey, not the destination.
Exactly. So, like, it's a whole question of if you had the book of your life, would you read the end?
Boom. Yeah. In this case, she would. Hay otra gente que probably wouldn't. And that's fine.
Yeah, I guess it's depending on like how you kind of accept life as it is.
Exactly. Not only is that she would, she's also at peace with it.
At peace with it.
Which most people wouldn't.
Not everybody is at peace with death. Not everybody is at peace with what is inevitable in life.
Exacto.
It is inevitable.
Luis, what do you think of the movie?
The movie, ¿verdad? La película bien profunda, bien existencialista, ¿verdad? Porque te hace preguntar como que el propósito que uno vive, ¿verdad? La posibilidad si hay alienígenas o no. Y es una película como que, tú sabes, bien hecha. Y de nuevo, ¿verdad? Una de las barreras bien grandes nosotros conectar a otro ser humano es la barrera del idioma que podemos hacer para entendernos mejor. Y a mí siempre me encantaba, ¿verdad? Toda esa secuencia de el personaje de Amy tratando de adivinar, ok, qué es lo que están diciendo aquí, qué es lo que están diciendo acá. Y tú sabes, la cinematografía, la música, la actuación, todo fue bien hecha. Y yo diría que Arrival con Blade Runner 2049 son mis favoritas del director, porque él hace películas, tú sabes, de ciencia ficción, no solamente que te entretienen, pero te hacen pensar el significado de todo lo que está pasando.
Sí, son very character driven. También me gusta que hablaste de la cinematografía, porque esta es la película de las que la ha hecho contemporáneas que no fue hecha por Roger Deakins, sino fue Bradford Young, que yo creo que fue porque probablemente esta película tiene un budget más modesto y probablemente él estaba probablemente trabajando con Deakins en Sicario y después brincó con él en Blade Runner, porque él hizo como que películas consecutivas una tras de la otra. Esta fue como que The Small One que nadie esperaba, porque él hizo una película calladito que fue Arrival antes de hacer la The Big Bombastic One, que era la de Blade Runner. Pero Bradford Young Cinematography está bien cool porque es bien diferente a Deakins. Deakins es bien classical cinema. El tipo es tus tomas bien estructuradas, tus dolly shots, tus steadicam shots, tus tripod shots en contraluz. O sea, we've seen Roger Deakins throughout our lives. Todas las películas de los Coen son hechas por él. Las películas buenas de Bond también son de cinematografías por él. So you know really good cinematography side de Deakins. Lo cool de Bradford Young es que se siente más personal. Y lo ha hecho mucho con la película de Selma, que es la película esa que es de MLK, y la película de Almost Violent Year, que es la de Oscar Isaac y Jessica Chastain, que son como que bien very grounded, son bien personas, se sienten más personales, como que cogen eventos que quizás se sientan bien out there, como lo que es un alien invasion, but it kind of like puts it down to scale, to something more manageable and more down to earth and real. Yo creo que lo logra bastante bien en cuestión de la cinematografía. I do love la secuencia cuando ella está como que losing sleep and it almost seems like she's kind of like out there, y entonces ella está hablando con Jeremy Renner, hablando about the whole thing of like, are you dreaming in their language? Y entonces está cool porque he did something disgusting in editing, que fue que he crossed the 180 line. When you're filming, you're supposed to grabar aquí y hacerla acá. Nunca you're supposed to cross the imaginary line que tienes to the other side, because you're going to consciously confuse the audience. He purposely did this en la secuencia por lo que estaba pasando, porque ya la mujer estaba delirando, porque estaba lack of sleep, estaba exhausted. Y entonces había una toma donde ella estaba viendo a Jeremy Renner aquí, y rápido la toma tornó para acá rápido en a split second. It was a very jarring cut. It was very purposeful, claro, porque está aludiendo al state of mind de ella en ese momento. And it all culminates con ella diciendo like stop, like, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically she was saying that I know you're not saying that I'm fitting for this role. Entonces cuando mira para el frente está viendo el alien pegado contra la pared, which is cool porque eso lo dije a Bells. It's a reference to his movie in Enemy. No quiero spoil it if you haven't seen Enemy, but there's a visual illusion that he does que es bien semejante a lo que hizo en Enemy, que lo hizo en Arrival. I told Bells, yo dije,
like it makes more sense for them to do it in Arrival.
Exacto. Bueno, when you see in Enemy, you understand why it's done there too. Pero yo dije, fue lo único que yo me quedé como que I love the visual cue, but I love it based on the fact that it's, like you said, it's fitting. Also because probably no one's seen Enemy, so he can get away with doing this hat trick all over again, because it's a good hat trick. Like, tú no imaginas ver el monstruo, el diseño, de la forma que está representada. It's a very cool visual, and it shows you a lot of the state of mind of the character y lo que está pasando en la historia. Y como en Enemy, contextualmente también tiene sentido lo que pasa ahí, but I'm pretty sure since no one saw Enemy, he was like, screw it, I'm just gonna do it again. Fuck it. And he just plopped it in again. But it was very cool as a visual.
I think it was a no-brainer for him.
Oh, sí, definitivamente. It's a good hat trick. He can never do it again, though. Porque ya mucha gente vio
He's just trying to, like, find a signature.
Oh, yeah.
This way of editing.
I feel that there is. Yeah. I feel that definitely there is a style, and there's definitely un tono que él quiere demostrar con todas sus películas. Want to talk about the cyclical elements que hay en la película, como todo es bien cíclico, starting from the language, starting from the non-linear storytelling. The movie itself, it's technically a circle. What do you guys think about all that?
Yo también pensé en lo que es el Ouroboros. You know, the snake eating in its own tail as it is cyclical. So you can kind of also dissect that in a way that everything, what goes around comes around, like I always say. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit I didn't pick up on the whole cyclical thing until like way in the end. I was like,
I mean, at least you got it.
Like I guessed, like como dije anteriormente, I kind of guessed que lo de lo de la hija pasó en el futuro, but the whole theme being, the theme I focused on was communication. It wasn't until the end I was like, oh yeah, cycles. That's the circle. It's like also.
It's all about the cycle.
Yeah. I would argue that communication is one of the main themes as well. Completamente.
Oh, yeah.
You're not wrong about that. Porque this whole idea of miscommunication among the alien race, miscommunication against your own fucking kind, I mean, it's very explicitly said cuando le está diciendo a ella, we should be communicating with each other. We shouldn't be like cogiendo un cantito. The whole fact that cuando el alien vomita the whole map, and she said, this is one of 12. We literally need to talk to the other people to be able to uncover the whole map of what this is all meaning. Yeah, come okay, well, that's cute and all, but we don't care because we're going to destroy the ships anyways, and we're still at war with each other. Y como tú bien dijiste, a lo último, it all just bogs down to a simple message from a dying wife to a very stern man who was willing to destroy the possibility of world peace because of his stubbornness. And everything was destroyed because of that very personal thing called a connection, a conversation, a line that someone you care about said to you.
Yeah.
It's poetic as fuck.
Like I always say, communication can't be communication without comprehension. And there was no comprehension whatsoever throughout this whole movie.
It's the little things.
It's the little things, como la película ese de Washington con Jared Leto.
There's the morality, there's the ignorance, there's everything that is composed into a human.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there, but if you don't sit down and actually analyze, which is not something that's going to happen because not everybody can do that, it's where we have that divide, that segregation.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
Why can't we all just get along?
But we can't, because that's how humans work. That's how individuals work. That's how our brains function.
Operate, yeah. Do you like the... Obviamente era bien obvio, pero the homage to the monolith? I like the idea of the homage of the monolith. I mean, the creature design is very particular. I don't know if you guys want to discuss that.
Very unique, yeah.
Looking creature. At first, it looked like a hand.
Bien original.
Crossbreed between Cthulhu and the spaghetti monster.
Yeah, very, very aliens, precisely.
Exacto.
Yeah.
Alien in nature, literal.
The whole thing. This huge ass alien. It doesn't have a head. It literally looks like a car.
Also, because aliens, like most film monsters, represent an anxiety of whatever filmmaker or society is making it. The reason a lot of aliens in cinema fiction, aparte de just limitaciones de special effects, is also because these aliens are often meant to represent some foreign human, but still human entity. La idea de el progenitor de todo este género, the War of the Worlds, era simplemente el autor diciéndole a Inglaterra, ustedes se creen la gran hostia por ser el imperio más grande del mundo, pero y si les toca a ustedes ser los colonizados.
Exacto.
Like that's the whole thing. And so most aliens change from monsters to more human depending on what the movie needs. En este, la idea es que no te puedes salvar. No, they don't have any human features, so no puedes usar like visual cues like gestos de la cara ni nada. You gotta learn their language, porque otherwise no hay de otra. Because muchas veces we talk to people who don't speak our language, because they're still human. We can get an idea of what they're trying to say or how they're feeling at least. Like I don't speak a lick of Cantonese, but if a Chinese person is mad at me, I can still tell by how they react around me.
Yeah.
Body language. Lenguaje corporal, los ojos.
Yeah.
I just that's why I find the aliens being so alien so fascinating.
More monsters than humans, because usually when they depict aliens, they try and make it as humanoid as possible.
Sí.
But let's take the xenomorphs, the alien that se veían bien feo, but they still had legs, they still had arms, they look sort of human. Of course, giving the fact that, face hugger inside of a human, whatever, crossbreed. Pero usualmente ellos van para que sea más humano. En este caso, no fueron a eso.
Yeah. The most you can say, it looks like a hand, pero es como que lo más que tú puedes...
But it was tentacly. It was
Exacto.
very tentacly. And then you saw one of the tentacles actually spread for more tentacles. That's how they communicated it. They made it as monstrous as possible. So we had to interpret the communication in of itself as the people who are seeing the movie.
Mhm.
I also really like the touch. The one time the alien speech is subtitled, it's
Yes.
still not perfect.
It's
Es
Yes.
como
still
que
not
no es a perfect subtitle. It's almost like this movie we're seeing is like an adaptation of their real events.
Mhm.
Y como todavía no han perfeccionado el lenguaje, they still, even the subtitles,
Sí.
can't do
Yeah.
it perfectly. That was a very nice touch.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Okay,
not going to completely understand the right language. Like, you have to be years and years of working on that specific language in order to understand and interpret it correctly. Vamos a
Especialmente
decir,
con lo complicado que era el lenguaje.
yeah,
yeah.
del lenguaje chino,
And that-
si no me equivoco, chino y japonés, que pueden pronunciar una palabra de diferente forma y pueden significar diferente forma.
I think there's like a famous Mandarin. I think it's Mandarin. But don't quote me on that. Okay, I think the word is ba, and they mention it like a dozen times, and that's a complete sentence. Each phrasing of ba is different enough to mean something else.
So
Sí.
the language in of itself is extremely complicated, and understanding a language that is completely unknown to ourselves as humans will be even worse.
Sí.
Y para decir la verdad, viendo ese timeline de ella interpretando in under a month, it's
Mhm.
pretty impressive.
Impressive.
Pretty impressive.
I mean, lo último que iba a mencionar era the idea of the palindrome, pero eso obviamente tiene que ver mucho con lo cíclico. Because
Oh, yeah.
cuando ella dice, oh, why is my name Hannah? Because, darling, you're the theme of the movie. You're a stupid palindrome.
It's the same forwards and backwards. Get it?
Exacto.
You get it?
You know what, it would have been ballsy, but that would have been maybe a bit too much for the movie itself. Era que maybe at a certain point the movie became like what Tenet tried to do, which was the idea of telling the story then from the backwards perspective de lo que estaba pasando, but that would have been way too much, and maybe it would have taken away from the movie, because thematically, sí, es circular, but not like that. It's more about perceiving everything at the same time. Donde, por ejemplo, Tenet, sí era un literal palindrome. It was just half of the movie was going forward, and then half of the other movie was discovering how everything that happened in the first part connects to the second part, porque está haciendo backwards. Pero yeah, it would have been a little too ballsy. So let's expand un poquito, porque lo cool de esto que Lex, gracias a Dios, hizo y no nos hizo ver, because I want everyone to know he was going to make us see Adam Family Values in Prisoners. I want to say it out there, porque he was going to destroy us watching Adam Family Values y después compararlo con Prisoners. So thank God that he has some conscience tonight.
Thank God. Hallelujah.
What's the connection?
Well, family.
Exactamente.
Family. It would have been family, I'm pretty sure, because it's in the title of Adam Family Values, and then you see
Because it's
Prisoners,
like-
and it's family.
One is an arguably inferior sequel to a decently good
Yeah.
90s family adaptation of a classic sitcom.
Yes.
And the other is a thriller about
Child
child abductions and how far would you go in
As a
service
father,
to save
as
your
a
child.
parent,
Pues, ¿tú te acuerdas cuando Raúl Julia hizo lo mismo for his children? I mean, come on.
No, what Raul Julia did for his children was star in that shitty Street Fighter movie, and that was his final movie. But he gave, bless his heart, he gave it his all. You
Boricua
watch that
represents.
movie,
Vamos a Jax.
o sea, tú ves esa película de Street Fighter y él le está dando 110%.
For sure.
Like, it has unironically, one of my favorite lines from any movie, when he's getting powered up and y le tiene este guille de God y él grita, "For I beheld Satan as he fell from the sky like lightning." And I'm like, dude. And I looked it up. Is that a quote from something? That has to be referencing a poem or anything. I couldn't find anything for lo menos.
Yeah.
So
it sounds very Greek.
It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Beholding Satan falling from the sky like lightning. It's like, ah.
Wait, well, I'm glad que entonces no hizo eso. It'd be cool entonces talk a little bit about these two films in context to other commercial Hollywood. Porque claro, we've seen obviamente what Hollywood commercially has become. Y even back then when he was doing these movies también, que eran películas que se ven comercialmente en cines, they pale in comparison to a lot of the mainstream stuff que sale. And I put this as an example porque obviamente pues sí, I like watching more stuff out there that's not like lo que Hollywood me tira. Pero it's nice también que within what mainstream cinema is y lo que Hollywood propone, it's also good to have these type of things que se den a luz y se dé un espacio para que estén. Porque pues está bien fine. Yo entiendo que no todo puede ser A24, no puede ser cositas bien indie, raras, abstractas, because not everyone's going to enjoy it. So I think, and maybe you agree or disagree, que Denis Villeneuve maybe is one of the few filmmakers who's been able to successfully bridge the gap of telling a very good, compelling story that feels a little bit art house within the confines de que sea digerible para una audiencia mainstream. What do you guys think about that?
Sí, por eso que yo amo Christopher Nolan, porque él puede hacer un buen balance entre hacer una película artsy, thought-provoking, pero a la misma vez que sea entretenida para que la audiencia en general lo pueda disfrutar en películas como Inception, Dunkirk, The Dark Knight Fury, Memento, o sea, tiene ese buen balance entre arte y entretenimiento.
Yeah, I can agree with that. De lo poco que he visto of this guy's films, I've yet to see Dune and Blade Runner 2049.
¿Viste Sicario?
No.
Pues tienes 3 entonces.
Lucky for me, 2 of those 3 films are on HBO Max, so
there you go. Tienes ahí para algo para ver después. Ajá.
I do have to like admit that the Christopher Nolan and Denise, it's like completely 2 different individuals.
Go on, pelea.
My biggest concern with this director, which I kind of felt it with Chris Nolan for a while now, it kind of they end up smelling their own farts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like having yeah, you're good, but
whatever
right cometh before the fall and all that.
Eventually, kind of is starting to decline, in a way, at least in my opinion.
Where do you guys think, para empezar con Nolan, where do you think Nolan started to falter as a filmmaker for you?
Para mí, un poquito con la última de Batman, como que The Dark Knight Rises tenía ¿Cómo Bruce Wayne regresó a la ciudad? ¿Cómo demonios? ¿Cómo que?
Papi, por los túneles esos que él construyó, he had an underground tunnel en toda la tierra entera. He had just Bruce Wayne underground tunnels.
Para mí, The Dark Knight Rises tenía que haber sido dividida en 2 películas. Porque es como que muchas cosas están pasando a la misma vez que tú te caes como que para mí hubiese terminado cuando Bane deja a Bruce en el hoyo, ahí termina parte 1 y pues parte 2 lo otro. Y yo no sé, ese twist ahí de que sí, yo soy la hija de Russell Crowe.
With me it's just with me I just don't think it's as smart as it thinks it is. Like they really, they're very contrived lines. Como they really. Somebody said we have to have Bane say, "I am necessary evil." So let's cut to this multi-billion-dollar guy just out of nowhere say, "You're pure evil."
Yeah,
it's like
así como que le pone la manito y dice, "You're pure evil."
I am necessary
evil.
I do love. Eso sí, Bane is really hard to take seriously. I'm sorry. I love doing the voice though.
The voice is incredible.
That's the thing. Tom Hardy, I have a problem with Tom Hardy. Everybody's like, oh yeah, Tom Hardy's the greatest. Por lo menos muchas películas recientemente, he does these weird voices and inflections. It's like I can't take this guy seriously.
¿Tú viste Bronson?
No.
¿Tú viste Locke?
Locke, no.
Okay, so ve esas 2 and get back to me about Tom Hardy, because those are the 2 films que yo digo, okay, I get why he's good. Yo entiendo lo que tú quieres decir, though. He's become almost a caricature of himself to a certain point. I agree.
Like when we Venom, he was acting weird before he got the symbiote.
See,
so that was like, Venom's fucking sucked, man. That movie sucked. I'm sorry.
I mean, you can't deny, though. Bueno, yo no viste la segunda, but at least the first one, when he's eating the stupid shrimp, I'm like, I died. I was like, okay, all right. I'm just going to go along with this weird trip because clearly he didn't care. He obviously didn't care.
A mí lo que me mató es que the line, like a turd in the wind. You know, the author was like, yes, this is it. This is like the edgy shit that we're looking for. And it's like, no.
It's super local.
Dude, that line is awful.
Poorly
It is.
What
It
about
is
you,
awful.
Bells? Where do you think Nolan faltered entonces? If he has for you, I don't know.
He has, and I do have to agree with Luis. It was in the Dark
It was
Knight.
Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah.
Okay.
Granted, I haven't seen.
Y también en Tenet yo odié como que la parte técnica, como que la mezcla de sonido. Yo no puedo entender casi nada de lo que está nueva. Yo también, pues, como que tú odias los otros y yo estoy como que, pero, o una cosa o lo otro.
I can defend the sound design if I may. Yo soy un Nolan apologist porque pues cuando yo era joven, yo era el cliché nene chiquito que love Nolan. Obviamente Nolan no era lo que era. I fucking loathe Tenet, pero I can defend the idea behind the sound design, y es porque cuando le está dando los interviews, he's aware, first of all, he's super aware de su crítica sobre el sound design. Muchos filmmakers de industria que le han enseñado a veces early copies porque tiene confianza. This shit happens even in Hollywood. Siempre tienes tus film buddies, you're like, bro, hice una película, te voy a mandar el Tenet por un Google Drive, y es como que le envía Tenet para que Spielberg lo vea o whatever. Entonces, pues, like, his friends desde Dark Knight Rises estaba pasando esto. They were like, your sound mix is a little off. Entonces, what he started explaining was de que él le gusta jugar mucho with sound design y él le gusta el elemento de que él no siente que es necesario, even though I disagree with this statement, él no encuentra necesario que a veces las líneas que están hablándose en la película are needed to be told. He feels que si a veces la escena merita quizás un elevado score o un elevado sound design, he will instead focus on the sound design or the soundtrack over the lines of dialogue. Porque contextually you will be able to understand what's happening. I disagree. Porque cuando tú tienes elementos que tú quieres resaltar en cuestión de que tú quieres que líneas de diálogo se entienda que se están diciendo entre personajes, pero they're not important narratively, hay formas de hacerlo donde tienen sentido. Por ejemplo, hay una escena en una película de los 70, I forgot the stupid name of the movie, where hay una pareja que está en la distancia, se están gritando algo y pasa un tren. So you never really hear what's happening. Otro ejemplo más reciente es Lost in Translation. The final scene, cuando tiene a Bill Murray diciéndole a ScarJo en el oído, it's very close, but you don't see it. You only hear the crowd noises. So you are left up to interpretation what's being said. That's good use of sound design and score para acentuar la escena al final y te deje con la expectativa de qué fue lo que se dijeron.
I mean, that's all fine and good. I'm just sick of how a lot of his movies that they practically whisper all their lines,
Pues
and so
entonces,
then you
exacto.
subes el volumen to listen, and then the action scene comes in and te explota la bocina.
So lo que pasa aquí es este problema final. There's the thing. I disagree with his statement porque entonces ¿qué pasa? In his films, they don't function that way. He just eleva el sound design o el score por encima just because, basically, por decirlo así, bicho, porque le da la gana. He explained the reason why he kept doing this, and he actually has done it more, especialmente en Tenet, es porque he stopped mixing para todos los cines en todo el mundo. He instead chose to mix it para los teatros que they're supposed to be mixed properly y presentarse apropiadamente. Eso es un approach bien elitista. I understand why he's doing it, porque él dice, I am not going to sacrifice la forma que quiero contar mi historia, porque necesito acoplar for 1,000 different projections and 1,000 different métricas que ellos tienen. And, you know, quizás tú la ves en Plaza Carolina y se escucha de una manera, pero si lo ves en un IMAX en LA, pues se va a escuchar de otra manera. La gente que ha visto la película apropiadamente, they can hear every single word uttered in that movie sin ningún problema. The problem is, most of the movie theaters in the world, they're not mixed with that in mind. They're mixed in a generic way para que entonces todas estas películas funcionen apropiadamente for the movie theater. Y muchas películas, they just mixed for general movie theaters. He forgo that a long time ago. That is why his films look like that. Again, es un approach elitista. I don't like it. I don't like his methodology tampoco, because I feel it's not conducive of what he's trying to tell in the film.
It's like, Nolan, the poors are still going to watch your movie.
The poors are going to watch your movie. I love that. That's beautiful. But yeah, it's kind of sad que él tenga ese approach porque pues he does still, como que sus películas are still event movies. Son películas que cuando alguien dice Nolan's making a movie, you're gonna run out and see it, even if it's shit. Like me pasó con Tenet. Yo no la vi en el cine porque estaba en pandemia, pero if it would have been normal times.
Pero yo lo vi, sí.
Ah, pues tú lo viste, but there you go. Pues yo hubiera corrido al cine a verla, pero pues, like, I feel he faltered, probablemente como ustedes dicen en Dark Knight Rises. I think he went up again for me en lo que Interstellar. I know que esa película no es muy apreciada por todo el mundo. I really love Interstellar, con cojones. And I felt that Dunkirk was going to represent a new era for this filmmaker, donde quizás él iba a quizás compromise un poquito más de su very stylistic, bombastic approach para algo un poquito más subdued, que era Dunkirk.
I honestly thought it was Memento.
Memento. Oh, damn, Memento. Diablo, eso fue el momento que tú...
That's his first movie, though.
That's basically his first movie, yeah. It's technically following, pero no one remembers following. It's okay. Es Memento, realmente Memento.
Memento. Last time I heard from Memento was a
Memento lo
joke.
que lo puso ahí en el mapa. Y,
Sí, Memento
y
fue
yo
lo que
diría que ese es mi favorito porque Memento es más original comparado con otras películas.
Yeah. I agree. Lo que Memento Inception. Inception es la más Nolan en cuestión de que it's Nolan at his best, cuando Tenet es Nolan at his worst. Porque él simplemente se va demasiado out there con su concepto. And en Nolan, en Inception funciona perfectamente because you don't need to explain the wonky machine que los hace dormir. It just does it. But in Tenet, you waste 30 minutes of the movie explaining the bullet, which serves no purpose in the whole narrative. It's ridiculous. It's freaking ridiculous. So
it's kind of like how in the Star Wars prequels they spend like half an hour explaining how the government works. It's like all you need to say is that it's corrupt.
Exacto.
Yeah.
No explanation.
Es que se quería creer ese viaje de politics. He wanted to make a political film.
He wanted,
for better or worse.
He wanted to do basically like he wanted to do the story of how a republic can turn into a dictatorship. I don't know which Shakespeare play about the Roman Republic that touches that, but he wanted to do that basically.
Claro, sí. Y se nota porque su tipo de cine de antes, cuando en los 70 era very rebellious, era against the Hollywood system y the Hollywood, como que what was American history unto itself. Tú sabes, Star Wars is a war movie. It's a critique on war itself. Tú sabes.
While also homaging a lot of like the adventure movies he grew up and serials he grew up.
Por eso. Yeah. Sí, American Graffiti, it was showing you the American way, los 50.
Eso look at because I saw The Matrix. I had to rewatch it recently, and I was talking about it with my girlfriend. It's like a lot of the big event movies are just like the directors putting everything they love into this one thing.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars is Flash Gordon, it's adventure serials, it's old war movies and old westerns, and old samurai movies, all rolled into a sci-fi setting, and then it's like, and The Matrix it's anime, it's body horror. I forgot how much body horror there is in that first movie.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about that.
It's fetish fuel. It's it's action, balls to the wall action movie. It's kung fu. It's baby's first philosophy book.
Yeah.
So it's like the Wachowski sisters put everything they love into this, into that, and voila, you got The Matrix. So it's like, I wonder what's going to be the next movie that does that, and what are they going to combine?
But the problem is que ya eso no se ve en Hollywood. That's why I brought it up, porque Denis is one of the few filmmakers that can get away with doing this type of thing. Y hasta él está trabajando within franchises. He's not doing original work anymore. Tú sabes.
But yo tengo fe que something's gonna come up.
Siempre va a haber alguien.
In the back order.
I agree. Siempre va a haber algo. I mean, look at The Quiet Place. A Quiet Place is an example of like a very subdued, very indie light, como que blockbuster film, que hizo un fragadán de chavo. It's a very original idea, toda la cuestión. Pero lo que pasa es que these come far and far less. Y claro, no quiero ser the one doing the sign of like the end of times or whatever, pero Hollywood didn't operate this way. It didn't used to operate this way. Donde todo ahora tiene que ser con built-in franchise or it will fail. The fact that we're seeing another Matrix movie because it's so bankrupt, it's so creatively bankrupt, just shows you que no están dispuestos on bank on original ideas because they know, or they feel like they know que van a falter, when it's proven that if you do have a good story, it won't. Look at A Quiet Place. En pandemia hizo números increíbles. So there is room for that type of narrative.
Y por decir, cuando tienes el nombre de John Krasinski.
También vende.
Y a mí lo que me mata es que whenever something fails, they always take the wrong message out of it. So like one of the reasons Pirates of the Caribbean was almost not made was because Michael Eisner produced a period movie that bombed terribly. So it's like, people just don't want to see period movies anymore.
Exacto.
And it's like, you never stop to think that maybe the movie you produced sucked.
Yeah.
maybe,
I agree.
maybe they that never crosses their mind. It's never like, it sucks. No, it's always like, ya tú verás cuando ya obviamente este high de the superhero genre eventually is gonna maybe not crash, but it is gonna like
slowly decline.
Yeah, it's gonna
que todo el mundo quiere ver películas de Marvel, DC, superhero
and
we've already seen this cycle repeat.
Yeah,
Claro,
cuando eso empieza a decaer un poco, a lot of these executives in Hollywood was like, people just don't want superheroes anymore. It's like, no, people want superheroes, but they want them done well.
People
Yeah.
because
Done
they're
well.
doing it over again and not making something new about it.
That's why I'm not excited, for example, with the new Batman movie. I saw the trailer, like, that's a Batman movie, all right.
Yeah. Interesting. You're not up. Oh shit. You don't wanna. You think it's like más de lo mismo. You don't think there's anything approaching and interesante.
No he visto nada en el trailer that made me go like, oh my god, it's like, it's a Batman movie, all right. Now, if it's a good Batman movie, I'll sing its praises.
Claro.
Pero no, hasta ahora nothing's blowing me away. Also, I'm just kind of really sick of this whole idea of Batman. Like, let's keep it all grounded and realistic. It's like, bruh, just embrace the weird comic shit. Just embrace. And it's an other, like, they try so hard. Like, guys, you have to accept Batman is kind of gay.
Okay.
It's like he's wearing a lot of fetish stuff. It's a little weird, but you gotta accept. You just gotta roll with it. Don't try to like no, because Batman is serious and he's wearing like this armor made out of the gun that killed his parents. It's like, guys, what are you doing? Just let him wear his fucking tights. It's fine. It's okay.
Es que todo depende de la tesis que tú quieras hacer con la película. If you want to make it more sillier, que se ha hecho sillier. I mean, yo creo que ya han tirado todas las facetas de todo lo que Batman puede hacer.
I'm not saying sillier. I'm saying like find the balance at the like something more like the animated series from the 90s or the Arkham games.
I guess that's fair.
That one embraces some of the sillier aspects of the comics while still keeping a pretty grounded and serious.
I would absolutely love to see Arkham Asylum in the theaters.
Yeah.
Yo creo que lo más cercano fue cuando Zack Snyder took a crack at it. That Batman sort of felt a little bit like that Arkham Batman. No tanto, obviamente, porque there's not a lot of como que screen time para ese, pero you know.
My problem with Zack Snyder's Batman was that he wanted to like use the imagery of the Dark Knight Returns without fully understanding why that imagery was in that comic to begin with.
I disagree. I feel que the Republican conservative Batman que Zack Snyder te tira en la cara is very Frank Miller appropriate.
Well, it's very Frank Miller because of lo loco que se ha vuelto Frank Miller, but the whole idea of the Dark Knight Returns is that it's shocking to see Batman go this far and this dark. Of course.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing. And lo mismo con Watchmen. Like, it's shocking to see these superheroes go this dark. While Zack Snyder's approach is like, it's awesome to see these heroes. Scenes that are supposed to be like, oh my god, what the fuck, are like him trying to go like, oh, this is awesome. And it's like, it's not the intended mood, dude.
But then wouldn't you agree que entonces the Batman is trying to remedy that by showing you que this is not cool that Batman's pummeling poor people?
I mean, again, I haven't seen that much from the trailers. It's like, wow. But if it's a nice return to form and it's well executed, I'm going to be like, yeah, this is good. I'm just saying que a la misma vez, it's like, that's kind of more of the same in regards to like what I've seen in the Nolan verse and stuff.
Yeah, también es exhausting porque también has visto tantas interpretaciones en tu vida porque it's just been in your own lifetime. You've seen so many interpretations del mismo personaje. It goes back to the whole creatively bankrupt thing.
I did listen to like a podcast who said, mira, after the whole debacle with the Snyderverse, I'm just glad to see a more straightforward Batman story. I'm like, yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah, algo más simple. No tiene que ser rethreading the same plot threads de que los padres se murieron and all that shit. I mean, they did it with Spider-Man because they even knew como que contextually in our culture, we've seen Uncle Ben die so many times, you don't want to see it again. So they just forgo that. It's como que, okay, simplemente, pues he died, but it's not like a thing.
It is kind of nice that it's like gonna be more of a detective movie than an actual like
Ujú,
full balls to the wall action superhero movie.
exacto,
So it's
That's
like
pretty
okay,
refreshing, but at the same time, it just needs something more, in my
claro.
opinion.
but then again, all we got is the trailer. So maybe once we finally see it, we'll see what we were missing in the promotions.
Then would you think, do you like the idea entonces de estos filmmakers que han hecho cosas más, pues, más interesantes, más creativas, embrace entonces estas franquicias, entonces usar sus sensibilidades a estos tópicos más mainstream? Porque, por ejemplo, volviendo a Denis Villeneuve, he did shit like Arrival, he did shit like Prisoners, which is obviously very original shit.
I mean, it worked with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so then, but see, that's the interesting part, porque si tú has visto James Gunn actual filmography, it is very different de lo que él te tira después en Guardians. Guardians, he kind of reinvented
True.
himself to some degree.
Well,
Porque
yeah,
you're not
but
seeing Super. You're not seeing Slither.
you're not seeing his trauma films.
Exacto, basically. Porque ese tipo, if you actually let him, like, Suicide Squad era más cerca a lo que James Gunn previously was before he got, like, drug up by the whole machine. ¿Me entiendes? So it is interesting. So would you think it's a good thing que entonces estos filmmakers embrace estos genre films, estos franchise films, entonces que tengan su mezcla de sus sensibilidades de acuerdo a lo que el estudio le permitan hacer? Porque también we gotta consider that the studios sometimes allow them to do more and sometimes they pull them back. If you want to get into it, Eternals is a very good example of this, donde claramente hay un tug and pull between what the director wants to do and what the producer wants to get out there. Y entonces, esta es la primera parte. Do you think it's a good idea? En segundo, do you think that entonces mainstream audiences, as a result, if they find these movies interesting, would then go and see other stuff from this director? O simplemente es como que, qué cool, vi esto, and I go along my day.
Yeah. Yes, I do think it's a good idea to get these filmmakers with known for like a unique style and vision and take a crack at these franchises. Uno, okay, again, going back to the creatively bankrupt, we have seen a lot of these stories so many times. It's good to like see them again in a different spin.
Okay.
It doesn't always work. Por ejemplo, Guy Ritchie's King Arthur didn't work out.
Yeah.
I personally did not like Zack Snyder's interpretation of of these DC characters.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always going to be a risk involved.
Mm-hmm.
But when it works great.
Okay.
And to your second point, it depends on the person. The average Joe might just be, "Hey, this was a great Batman movie," por ejemplo.
Yeah,
But they might not necessarily say, "Hey, I wonder what else this guy's done." Pero sí, pero de que el director va a recibir más atención, sí va a recibir más atención.
Claro.
It's kind of what happened.
Go at this point because they just don't want to expand.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Mm-hmm.
In what it is, the contemporary or the artsy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. They just want to bank on what is known already.
Sí, sí, por eso digo franchise stuff. Es como que bien complicado que una premisa original. Porque ya como que lo que es lo que sería el medium budget film, algo de 100 millones, that shit don't exist anymore. Algo de 50 millones, it's very rare. So the last time I've heard of a $50 million movie que se ha hecho, que fue successful, fue fucking Joker. Y antes de eso fue Deadpool, which is tragic. And the reason why they gave them $50 million era porque it was wrapped around something bankable. Exactly. If this was called Clown Movie and Red Mask Guy no hubiera hecho tanto chavo como claramente hizo, porque obviamente estaba wrapped around el DC o el Marvel Bow. Que por eso digo que
it's kind of sad too that they have to kind of stay with that length.
Eso es lo que digo. While I love that my favorite filmmakers in contemporary times are getting the bag, I worry que el problema viene siendo que entonces, yes, they're putting their own spin on it, pero siempre es within these boundaries de lo que es un Joker movie, lo que es un Batman movie. Like, I love me some Batman, and I will go run and go see Batman.
Pop culture.
Exacto. Pero entonces no te da el break de entonces poder explorar esta historia. Entonces, the only way you can get away with it es cuando tú haces el sistema de que uno para ti, uno para mí. Meaning como que Nolan gets away with that. He does like a Batman movie, and then he did Inception, and then he did a Batman movie, so Prestige, and then he did a Batman movie, y después le dieron break para hacer Interstellar.
But you also gotta give the directors some credit here because they are finding out how to do this.
Claro.
In a way, so they're banking on that situation. So it is like a give or take. It is like a double-edged sword,
mm-hmm.
in a way.
Or we could have like a. Eventually, it'll run its course, and we'll have a big old cinema crash, similar of what the great video game crash of '87, I think it was, happened.
Yeah. I mean,
And then
the streaming thing is becoming a real thing. So you're right. En ese aspecto.
Mhm.
okay,
Aunque-
there's only so far they can take the whole bankable IP thing before it crashes and burns.
Sí.
And
Yo
that
sí-
and I hope to be alive when that happens because that is going to be spectacular. Going back to like the whole using IPs, you mentioned Orengo several episodes ago, the death of cinema cuando mencionaste Space Jam 2.
Ajá.
Have you heard that they are trying to do basically a video game of that? Their own version of Smash Brothers with all of their IPs.
Sí, I did see the leak. They were gonna do un Warner Brothers Super Smash Bros.
And am I connecting because I was like, oh god, it's like Warner Brothers doesn't know what else to do, so they're just gonna smash all their IPs together all the time, and
That's
it's
it.
gonna crash at some point.
That's their go-to approach para todo. I mean, when you think about it, I think Paramount was thinking of doing the same thing, porque cuando tú ves los ads que estaba haciendo Paramount initially para promover Paramount Plus, tú puedes buscar, I think it was a Super Bowl ad, estaba en a mountaintop y tú veías a Sir Patrick Stewart. Yeah, that's Sir Patrick Stewart. He was basically monologuing that basically you guys need to like get into Paramount Plus. It's a very amazing streaming service. Mientras tú veías SpongeBob jumping up and down on the side y tú veías otro personaje de a Paramount movie or that you've never heard of before, and they were all just converging in this high mountain que cuando you zoom out it's the mountain de Paramount. Y yo como quedé como que this is sad. This is so sad that this is what we've become. Todo es contenido, which is a disgusting word as a filmmaker. I despise cuando alguien me dice, sí, vas a crear tu próxima pieza de contenido. I just barf in my mouth. And I know it's elitist to say, I don't care. I make films. I do not make content. Like, content es lo que tú ves en YouTube. And it's fine. It's its own thing, pero it's just, okay, I'm sorry. Pero yes, it irks me bien cabrón cuando me dicen esa mierda. But it's basically what it's become right now. Todo es contenido, todo es entretenimiento que se consume, se digiere y lo vomitas con un buen Whopper y seguimos para adelante con lo próximo. And yeah, like, I don't know si todas estas películas que son tan expensive, they're just gonna implode, como tú dices. It might happen, it might not. Todavía, a pesar que pasó una pandemia, we've seen actually steady growths in terms of you know, como que revenue de estas películas. Esperaremos que Spider-Man probablemente vaya a ser like $1 billion. Yo tengo un pana que me dice que no. I'm thinking that it probably might, porque everyone and their mother wants to see that stupid movie. Even I want to see it because I'm so curious. Que es como que, so yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get there right now, but it might happen in our lifetimes because I think the pandemic accelerated a lot of these things.
I would say like from here to like maybe 5 or 10 years.
Yeah. Yo creo que mucha sobreexposición de todos estos personajes, todo este contenido, like the mere fact que Disney tiene como que 7 Marvel shows and you just can't even keep track anymore y todo está interconectado porque tienes que fucking verlo porque si no no vas a entender la próxima película de Captain Marvel si no ve Miss Marvel en freaking WandaVision. Es como que te vas a perder in terms of the plot. It's all too demanding for an audience that doesn't have the time because we're very ajetreados en nuestro diario vivir, you know? Yeah.
It's like Disney. I have a life. No, you don't.
Exacto. Chacho, es ridículo. Sí, porque ayer fue el Disney Day y después todavía estaba el Movie Guy poniendo los posts de todo lo que anunciaron. And I was like, yo vi en Twitter, I would just refresh 3 nuevas cosas que anunciaron and I'm like, this is just so much. You know, they're making like a show de Agatha Harkness, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, that probably happened porque vieron a reception, they saw that they liked the character, mucha de la audiencia que lo vio, and they were like, oh, just you get a show, and you get a show, and you get a show, and that's kind of how they're
And
operating.
Of course, they're gonna make the theme song. It was Agatha all along.
Of course.
That's gonna be the intro song.
Claro que sí.
And what they're gonna do is they're gonna take something that's great.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna overplay it, and then I'm gonna hate that fucking song.
Yes.
Just like I will. It's hard for a lot of people to take this statement seriously because of what has happened to that song. But when I first heard "Let It Go," I'm like, oh, this is a nice song. This is a nice Disney song.
Until it got repeated by little girls forever.
Yes. Ad nauseum.
That's the problem. It's not that the song itself is bad. It's just that it is such a requirement. Disney made it such a requirement to be over repeated that fucking Kingdom Hearts 3 just stops to a screeching halt just to recreate that scene.
Yep, I agree.
That was crazy, and it was crazy just seeing Sora like, whoa, what is happening?
Same.
But now I'm not gonna lie. I kind of wish they would like remake the Kingdom Hearts series just to have Sora stumble upon all the various Disney musical numbers.
That would be amazing. I mean, no dude que cuando comic book movies start to falter, they don't turn, which they're already doing. They don't turn into video game properties and they start milking those and do adaptations of those things. Y yo vería down the line 5 to 10 years Disney experimentando.
Ya empezamos con Uncharted, so look.
Yeah, that's true. We started with Uncharted. We started with Detective Pikachu, Sonic, all those things. So it's already started.
Unfortunately, the upcoming Mario movie is going to be a big hit, so that's going to be a franchise.
Yeah, I agree. But es muy probable que lo sea. Y va a haber otra propiedad.
Looking that cast model, that cast feels like such a parody.
Yes.
And then like a month later, Chris Pratt is playing Garfield.
Exacto.
So it's like when I first saw that, I was like, no, that this is a joke, right? This is a belated April Fool's joke, right?
Yo aplaudo a la gente de Chris Pratt.
Eso estaba diciendo yo el otro día. It's like,
great
man,
agent.
He's got a great agent. I mean, and my girlfriend is like, great agent. Hey, say what you will about these movies, but it's gonna make them bank.
Definitely.
Va a sentarse en su culo 3 días, va a tirar todas las líneas, and he's gonna get a big fat paycheck for just having his name on the poster. Like, literal. It's insane. Yeah. The death of cinema. That's what we usually talk about.
The death of cinema.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. Yeah. It's getting here.
Bueno, Corillo, creo que ya llegamos al fin del episodio, ¿verdad? ¿No tienen nada más que decir? No. Ok. Pues...
Si nos deja, solamente que si nos deja, we could probably be rambling about this shit
for
another 2 hours.
Yo te puedo seguir tirando preguntas más, pero
no.
It's fine.
Okay. Pues, damas y caballeros, llegamos al fin del episodio. Este ha sido tu host, Luis. Me pueden seguir bajo Instagram, Luis Andrés Potter, y pueden buscar mi libro Amor en tiempos de pandemia. Lo pueden conseguir en Amazon versión física o digital, y ya como de aquí a una semana el libro estará disponible en las librerías Booksmart. Isabel, take it away.
Well, you can find me at Instagram at Libros de la Bruja. Hopefully you guys enjoyed October. To whoever visited me in the haunted house, it was a lot of fun scaring you guys. But now we're back in business doing the podcast. You can find me here bi-weekly, reviewing movies with my crew, or our crew. Take it away.
As usual, I don't do anything besides this. So once this is over, I will go into slumber, and will only be summoned once they collect once again the 7 spheres that represent me, and summon me for another show.
Beautiful. So poetic, man.
Gorgeous.
But now you can find me here with you guys bi-weekly. Hopefully el próximo episodio no sea nada de Adam Family Values, por favor, Lex.
Por favor.
I beg you. You can also find me at my podcast, at Cinemas Podcast. El lunes pasado tuve un episodio donde hablé de las películas de Julia Ducournau. I believe I pronounced that correctly. Estuvimos hablando de la película Raw y la película Titán con el colectivo del área oeste llamado Experimento Lúdico. It was a fun discussion. Si no han visto las películas de ellas, exhorto que las vean. They're great artistic body horror movies. Son bien...
Yo amé Titán.
Yeah, they're very al garete, but they're very thematically rich. Hay mucho que tú puedes sacar de esa película, y nuestro podcast demostró eso, porque we were like 2 hours talking about these 2 movies and her approaches as a filmmaker. So exhorto que vean eso. Entonces también el domingo, so mañana, voy a estar con Mac de Cine PR. We're going to be talking about his favorite movie and one of my favorite movies, Whiplash, de Damien Chazelle. Such a great film. Miles Teller se vota en su performance. La película, obviamente, el star, desgraciadamente el star es J.K. Simmons, porque obviamente si Miles Teller se vota, J.K. Simmons la vota fuera del parque con esa película. Es a great freaking movie. You guys haven't seen it, pues véanla. Entonces, si están por ahí, pues lo vemos mañana entonces en el podcast. Hablando de eso, you can find me at The Movie Guy. De los martes y jueves hablamos de lo que vimos el fin de semana, temas especiales, lo que vimos. There was a big movie, we'll talk about it. También with you guys en Cine Nerds, y también me puedes conseguir en After School Club. Y entonces finalmente me puedes conseguir con John en Subtitles Required. Pero aparte de todo eso, googleenme, I Make Movies. También en producción está Vaquero, which es el colectivo que yo tengo. We released un docudrama de este artista dañasco llamado Negro González. Es un docudrama donde hablamos de su artistic approaches y su metodología como músico en Puerto Rico. So, no, si están ahí, quieren ver la peliculita, it's an interesting vibe. So, that's it. Lex, are you there?
Everybody got that?
Well, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Adiós.
And I